We'd like to welcome our viewers from around the United States and all over planet Earth for our special holiday gift buying session. You're listening to the EdTech Situation Room, and what an exciting night. Tonight is the 14th of December, 2016, and I am Wes Fryer in Oklahoma City. And we were just talking temperatures, so you have to say something weather-related about where you are and who you want to kick it up or down to. So I will kick it up to Jason in Missoula to tell us a little bit about what I'm sure is a balmy temperatures there in the Great White North.
It is. Good evening. My name is Jason Neiffer, and I'm joining tonight from Missoula, Montana, and it is currently 17 degrees right now, balmy 17 degrees right now. But I was just looking for sure, and in Missoula, which tends to get a little warmer temperatures than other places in Montana, we're supposed to hit negative 17 on Saturday. So it should be a nice day to be outdoors and enjoying nature on that day. So. And because I know he'll have a similar story, I'll kick it over to Martin. Martin, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. And since I'm probably less than a mile from you, I assume our weather's about the same. Oh, there you are. I can see you.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. And then down south to Miguel.
Wow, negative 12. I was just teasing my daughter. She's in Champaign, Illinois, and we were laughing. It's negative 19 over there. We called her up, but there's no answer, so we think she must be huddled under the covers or something. So it's in San Antonio, Texas. This is Miguel Gulen, and it's 57 degrees. I mean, it's shirt sleeve weather, shorts weather. It's great.
Well, that is awesome. Well, for those of you that may not know, here on the EdTech Situation Room, we are usually talking on a Wednesday night about recent technology news and how that might relate to schools and things that we do in both the pre-K-12 school arena as well as the higher ed arena. But tonight, we are having a special holiday show, and there is a great podcast called The Committed, and they had a nice format that we're modifying to give some holiday gift-giving tips and recommendations. And the modification we're doing for this is we're going to talk about books as well, but we're going to share a pick that would be under $20, something that would be in the $20 to $100 range, and the over $100 range, which might be a technology-related thing, or it could be something else if a guest wants to break the rules. But I think, Jason, have we had more than two of us on before? This is the first time, isn't it?
I believe that it is. So we're breaking new ground tonight on the Education Situation Room.
That's right. And if anybody wants to check out our links, you can go to edtechsr.com/links. And we generally have more folks that are checking us out after the fact rather than live. But if you are a live viewer, and I see that we do have somebody on, we have a chat feature that we will try to pop out and interact with you and anybody else who joins us. So I guess I'll oh, look, Miguel, you're gonna do a little self-promotion for your book? That's awesome. Why don't you kick us off?
Okay, sure. I'm sure everybody has heard by now, if you missed it on the evening news, about Yahoo's 1 billion users affected.
Kim Commando just told everybody to shut down their accounts, but for me as a Flickr user, that's not going to work. So,
well, I've been telling people to shut down their Yahoo accounts forever, and I was just having this conversation last week. So I can't wait to get back to that situation and talk to a friend of mine and tell him, hey, look, I told you so, and now for sure you need to shut down your Yahoo account if you hadn't done so already. But I think that piece of news really highlights the importance of this phenomenally boring, terribly written ebook that is a must read. And it's not every day that you combine something that's terribly written with something that you just have to read. But my free ebook, available on the web in EPUB and PDF format, Protect Your Digital Privacy, what an original title, is available for you to check out. And I really want to encourage you to snag a copy and just practice some of the privacy pieces that are there. It's completely free. There's no advertising. It's not as good as one of Wes Fryer's books. It's not as good as anybody's book I can think of, but it does provide some valuable information for you. Now, if you don't like self-promotion, as Wes mentioned, there's several other books I want to just call your attention to. If you're into writing and want to see a well-written book, we could recommend Ernest Hemingway, but one ebook that's available for free to Kindle Unlimited readers is A Spy's Guide to Thinking. And I really like this book because it has this very simple approach, and you could actually hear the author's voice in your head as you're reading it. And it's a short book, it's 33 pages long, and it's mentions this process of data. We're swamped in data, then we have to analyze that data. We moved from data analysis to a decision and then action. And it's got this really good quote in there. I think it's, "The world is overflowing with data, secret and otherwise. It has to be shrunk." That's awesome. I mean, I just love that whole idea. We just have to shrink things down. And then if you still don't like those two book choices, another one is How to Write Short. I can't think of any other skill that's more valuable than learning how to write something and be brief, unlike what I'm doing now.
I was going to say, we're podcasting and using YouTube Live.
That's right. So, hey, but How to Write Short is a really fascinating book because it talks about keeping stuff short. So.
Awesome. Well, that actually is, ironically, probably a guiding theme for what I was looking at picking for picks. The book that I actually picked to share is called Spam Nation, The Inside Story of Global Cybercrime from Global Epidemic to Your Front Door by Brian Krebs. So you can tell, yes, we're very much geeks here, and we're not afraid to show it on the EdTech Situation Room. I am listening to far more long-form books, and I would say literature, but I pretty much am an all nonfiction guy lately, or for years. But this book blew my mind, and to segue with what Miguel was talking about, I mean, this is the season of security. I mean, it is just going to get worse. Miguel shared a link. Have you been pawned? Am I saying that right? Is that the way you say that? Okay. And literally, like 2 nights ago, it'll tell you, from the Adobe hack and from LinkedIn or whatever. I mean, I put my Gmail account in. Yes, your credentials have been compromised. I did change my password 2 nights ago. I hadn't changed it since 2014. I do have two-step verification or two-step authentication, turned on, so I have to have my phone when I log in. But it's really an eye-opener, and this is a moment of self-disclosure, but this year I have really gotten serious as a tech director about using a password manager, which I have dabbled with before, but I've actually used one that creates long string, random passwords, and I'm being more secure than ever. I'm not saying this for anybody that wants to, be a prankster and try to see what they can do, because, hackers got into Colin Powell and John Podesta's emails by, masquerading as Google and sending them really tricky bit.ly links that, look like they were Google links. And anyway, so both of our picks to start out with are about security. Not to say that everyone has to stick with that. But Jason, how about you? Do you have a book pick for us tonight?
I do. I'm going to recommend, actually, it's really 2 ideas related to a book. I'm sharing the current version. I've had travel on the mind lately. I am going overseas starting next Monday, and so a lot of reading, a lot of planning for that. But I've bought this book probably 2 dozen times and given it as gifts for students upon graduation, first-time travelers to Europe or elsewhere around the world. The book is called Europe Through the Back Door by travel writers Rick Steves. It is a kind of an introduction to traveling to Europe for first-time European travelers. But what I like about it is that especially if you've not had the opportunity to go outside the country before, especially if you are first time, outside of kind of the U.S. Canada realm, it really is an excellent introduction to not just basic travel advice, but also philosophy that you can adopt to better enjoy yourself while you are traveling, particularly in Europe. But I think the philosophy applies all around the world. It starts off with not expecting United States style travel experiences in Europe, and instead you should embrace the European nature of the countries that you're in, not to kind of spend your way into kind of like a traveler cocoon where you're just experiencing what you could experience in the comfort inn down the street, where you want to be in something that's maybe something different than your experience or uncomfortable. But the part that I've always loved about it, and this is why I've shared this book so many times with students as graduation gifts, is that the notion that that traveling can transform you and that you can learn about others' existence and grow with travel. I think that's an extremely important part. It's even more important in light of political events in the last 10 years related to terrorism and the notion of the other, and obviously political situations inside the United States. And so if you know someone that's a first-time European traveler, you yourself are considering a trip overseas, that's an excellent book. I would give one piece of advice related to any travel guide, but it's particularly true of this particular book. You can go back and get the 2015, 14, 13 edition, which is more than good enough to introduce yourself to the book. Buy the used copy for 1 cent plus $3.99 shipping, as opposed to buying the new version of it. In fact, for my trip next week, that's what my wife and I did for we bought the year-old edition of the London and Paris travel guides. We've torn them all apart. We spent $16 total on 5 different books that got shipped to us by U.S. mail. We've been tearing them all apart to kind of create our own travel book, and are heading off into the sunset. So Europe the Back Door, Rick Steves, excellent travel writer, excellent travel guide.
Well, just when you thought we were going to be pro-consumerism, spend, 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 help our democracy, and go to the mall, you're getting some free and almost free advice from books so far. That's awesome. So, Martin, what do you got for us?
Well, I haven't read this book.
But it's
I like the title, and I like what people are saying about it. It's by Kevin Kelly, who I'm sure you're quite familiar with.
Oh, I love Kevin Kelly.
It's called The Inevitable: Understanding the 12 Technological Forces That Will Shape Our Future. And some of the early praise for it wasn't just what they said, but who they are. David Pogue, obviously, former New York Times tech writer. Chris Anderson, former editor. I think maybe he's the current editor of Wired magazine. Brian Eno, a musician, you've heard of him. Mark Andreessen, name from the past. Anyway, just had glowing things to say in all sorts of different directions. So I guess I like the idea of the take on the future, and so that's one that's on my list. Came out in June of this year.
That's awesome. Kevin Kelly was one of the guys who helped edit the Whole Earth catalog. Am I getting this
way
right?
Back.
Yeah, and he's an interesting guy because he's been very technologically involved, but he's also almost a Luddite and just a real critical voice of thinking about technology and its role. And I'm trying to think of what I read. I listened to one of his books. So I have to open it in my Audible. That's what I have to do now. My off-board brain, I can't remember titles, so I have to look and see what I listened to. But I love future books too. I'd have to grab it to get the author, but it's called The Future and Its Enemies. Oh, it's Virginia Postral. And I love that stuff, right? With our visions of the future, the Jetsons. Oh, wait a minute, it's not going to be the Jetsons. Oh, is it going to be, Tomorrowland with everybody on their porch, with whatever the future world that Disney tries to project. And the inevitability piece of that really appeals to me as well, because I think there's an inevitability to the way in which the security state and bureaucracies and governments and police forces have co-opted the open web. And, we've talked a lot about security issues and things like that on the show. And it's just a very interesting landscape. So
yeah, I think Kelly asked a question. I think it was one of his TED Talks, but it was related to probably a previous book. He asked, what does technology want?
That's the book I listened to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right.
That's what it sounded like.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think his questions are great. I once dared students, took on the same dare he did in one of his talks about try to find a piece of technology, name a piece of technology that does not exist in any form today. I don't mean like in a museum, but I mean doesn't have a functional version that is still made. And a lot of people might think, I don't know, a cotton gin or a horse plow. Obviously, those things are still quite popular. And I had a student say, how about a tall-masted ship? You know, they still make fully functional tall-masted ships.
Yeah.
And the answer, it was absolutely.
Yeah.
And we went online, and they had just launched one of the largest in the world earlier that year. You know,
Ben Wilkoff is challenging you with the 8-track. So I don't know. I do know NASA had to like recreate. They had to build from scratch, you know, some kind of a player to play some of the videos that were taken from the early Apollo missions and things like that. You know, because the playback technology was.
I would say Google it and see. I bet there's a retro. My daughter asked for essentially the new version of a Polaroid camera for Christmas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've been debating record players. We were up near Yellowstone at our cousin's cabin, and they had a record player, and it's not quite offline entirely. It's obviously electrified and indoor plumbing, but this was in the 10 years ago, and it was the first time our kids had ever seen a record player, and people were dancing around, and it was skipping, and anyway, it was this whole retro moment. Yes, that's right. That's what the record player was like. So. Well, we've got Peggy George, where it was 62. Well, no, wait. Peggy George said it was 79 today in Phoenix. And we have Ben Wilkoff in, I think, Aurora and Denver area, Colorado. And he said it was cold, but it'll be 62. So we are excited to have a couple live viewers. And we've got somebody else who's chimed in but hasn't gotten into our chat room. So I've actually managed on my 12-inch MacBook screen to have the Hangout over here. And I've got the pop-out chat over there on the side. So maybe we'll be more interactive than ever. So anybody have any other thoughts on anybody else's book picks or any other book related advice? The chat room is available. I'll drop it into our Google Hangout chat. Actually, you have to open up the live YouTube version of this, and then the chat is up in the upper right corner above related videos, and there's a little link that says pop out. So I think I can put it into our private chat, and then you guys can open that up if you want to separately. All right. Well, who'd like to go first on their under $20 gift recommendation? We'll just open it up. We won't go.
I'm right here. I might as well go first.
Go for it, Martin.
My under 20 is a little thing that I saw on several different websites when I was looking for cool tech. And it's a Bondic Plus. It's a plastic bonder or plastic welder. Basically, I assume it's a spin-off technology out of the stuff the dentists use, like if they're filling a cavity where they put a liquid into the space and then hit it with an ultraviolet light when they're ready, and then it turns to a solid or to whatever kind of material they need. And this is actually something that looks like instead of glue, it actually uses some sort of an extruded material, soft material, and then when you get it just how you want, you can hit it with a UV light and it turns solid. So it has obviously lots of tech applications if you're fixing things, fixing cracks. A lot of people are using it to beef up the connections and earbuds and like USB plugs, etc. But I look at it as maybe the first step in really functional handheld 3D printing, if you will, where you could actually take this and create something and then solidify it. There are pens that you try to draw in 3D, which look
right. The extruder, or what is that called?
Yeah. But this thing actually looks like you would be able to use it in makerspace arenas, things like that, where you can actually bond the plastic much easier. And apparently it's fairly strong. I don't know how many bonds you get for the money, but it's when you start dealing with materials that you actually treat with ultraviolet light in plastics and ceramics, et cetera, you get some pretty cool stuff that we aren't usually used to, kind of like crazy glue all over again. So that's my under 20. I see it at Amazon at $19.99.
That's awesome. And for everybody to know, you can go to our edtechsr.com/links. And if you don't see all these there, we'll be adding those in. Although I think most of them are dropping in. How many of you guys have a 3D printer at your house? Do any of you yet? Yeah, I don't know who does. Kevin Jarrett probably does.
He's probably got a laser engraver at home.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law, who's an engineer, has one at home, but that's, I mean, he just sits home, basically makes his own Legos all the time. So,
And is that legal?
yeah, good question. Yeah.
Right. Oh man. All right. Well, Miguel, what's your under 20?
Well, I was really hard pressed for this one. I don't. So all I've got to offer here is, and it's not very exciting, is the Lightning to USB cable for $5.99.
That's not the Apple version, obviously.
Obviously not. Yeah, it probably isn't legal, but I think they cracked down on these. But they work great. I try to buy 3 or 4 every time I buy some because they're just wonderful.
And those aren't dangerous. We talked in an early show about, didn't we, Jason, about chargers for certain Chromebooks that were like frying the boards or something like that, micro USB. Am I remembering that right?
Yeah, we did. And, you have to be careful when you're buying, the non-OEM products. But, I mean, a good way to do that is just to look at the Amazon reviews that, generally speaking, if they are, someone will make this mistake on your behalf, and then you don't have to worry about it. And so that's generally how I've done it. I would say that I'm a big fan of Monoprice, and that's going to be my recommendations a little bit later. They also sell a variety of cheap cables that I've never had a problem with. But yeah, don't buy the OEM ones because the $20 for that Lightning cable is utterly ridiculous.
Now, Miguel, are you revealing that you do have iOS devices in the home by saying that you endorse this Lightning cable?
Of course I do. I've got an iPhone and iPad, and I have to work in with the Mac every once in a while, but not everybody can run Linux, and you can't run Linux 100% of the time. But
you're not running the black phone, remaining off the grid with all PGP communication. I'm shocked.
I don't think it's quite there. I think I read a blog entry where you were talking about some weird phones that were out there, but right now I think iOS is the most secure. So I could be wrong. So, all right. But, you just don't digitize anything that you want to keep private. That's why I keep a handy notepad somewhere around here. And my other pick was a messenger bag. But, it was hard to find stuff for $20. Martin definitely put us to shame on this one. So
yeah, he's way geekier than mine. So
wait till you get to the expensive one.
That's right. The expensive stuff's great.
Well, I didn't put a Tesla on mine, but yeah.
Oh, a Tesla would be down.
Series S for me. All right, Jason, how about you?
Sure. I have a couple quick recommendations. First and foremost, I will tell you that there is no shame for those of you, if you're buying for a nerd and you're looking for tonight's panel to, help you buy for your nerd and nothing's really ringing your bell, buy an Amazon gift certificate. You really can't go wrong. There is no shame. And when I say nerd, I'm not even talking computer nerd. I'm talking about someone that's got a lot of passion in a interesting, technical, nuanced field. You may never be able to buy them what they're really looking for. So unless they give you a list, buy them an Amazon gift certificate and call it good. There's no shame in that. But I do have 3 other quick stocking stuffer under $20 things that are awesome. First and foremost, I recommend this every year, and a lot of people tell me how they've appreciated it. But the Belkin 3-outlet Surge Plus Mini Travel Swivel charger is great. It turns one outlet into 3 and also has 2 USB ports on it that have enough juice going through them to power a couple iPads. I've made more friends at ISTE every year by showing up with one of these, finding thing and saying, here, can I create a couple of extra ports for you while I charge my phone? And it's a great conversation starter. And for $16, you really can't go wrong. I carry one in almost every bag that I own because it's really useful for what it does. And then I would also say that if you're buying for a non-audio file, the audio files are too snobby to utilize these 2 recommendations, but there are 2 really great pair of headphones and a pair of earbuds from Monoprice. Monoprice being my favorite place to buy electronics that are usually upsold a lot by price in the more traditional manufacturers. But these are the $10 earbuds. They're awesome. They have the flat ribbon cable, which means they don't get all cattywampus in your bag. They sound amazing. The best part about them, though, is that if in 6 months from now they disappear, or my dog chews them up, or I tear them apart, or I put them in the washer or dryer, or they just fall apart, although I've never had a pair of monoprice anything just fall apart, you spend $10 and you got a brand new pair. And then their $16 DJ headphones are indestructible. I have taken them backpacking. I have taken them in and out of the country. I have carried them in bags. I have dropped them. I have had them fall between the seats and get stuck down in between. I had to pry them out between the seats. I've actually had a cat sleep on one of mine several times. And I spent $19 is what they cost when I first bought them. I cannot destroy these things, and they are extremely clear, and I can't tell the difference between those and a pair of Beats. Now, again, I'm not an audiophile, but if you're looking for great, indestructible for kids, for a spouse that maybe doesn't care that much but wants to be able to, not utilize those very, very sad $6 ones that you can get at a big box store, those are great audio recommendations that I think would work for anyone.
Awesome, man. See, you ask the geeks to give some recommendations, and you're just going to get all kinds of great stuff. So this may actually affect some of my shopping. I didn't necessarily plan on that. I'm saying this portion of the show, not our over $100, as I glance at what some of you have put down. So my under $20 pick is the iPad tripod mount adapter and universal tablet clamp. I have tried several different iPad attachments, and honestly, this is one of the most useful things for school. I just had one of our middle school teachers today email me and say, hey, I want to record a couple of my lessons because I want to share this and have clips and whatnot. And so we just borrowed it from another teacher that has a tripod for $10. It's great. It has a couple different foam deals depending on how wide your device is. It'll work with whatever kind of tablet you have, but it really is handy to be able to stabilize your tablet as you are recording. And we have been quite geeky with some holiday Christmas card sorts of things with green screens, and we've had some fun on Mother's Day and Father's Day playing with our green screen and whatnot. So whether you're doing something for a holiday type video recording for your family, or it's something for school, definitely awesome. And again, Amazon is the source. Can't beat $10. I bought some are $70, and those were like specific to a particular iPad model. So what's nice about this is it's just a clamp, and it's probably going to work on whatever other kinds of iPads, unless we have the iOS Flea or whatever. It's not. It's tablet size, so it's going to work on whatever I think Apple is going to come out with next. So, or something else for those of you that are non-Apple tablet users. All right, anybody want to jump into our middle category of $20 to $100?
Sure. Okay, I'll go start again. Mine is the Ultimate Ears Roll 2 Reef wireless speaker. I actually have one of their earlier ones. I don't know if you've seen it. It's kind of a saucer, like a discus shaped speaker. Excellent sound. It runs, I think the new one runs about 9 hours on its charge. It's waterproof, and it's kind of got a funny retro-ish look, or I don't know, avant-garde almost, with a giant plus and minus on one surface, and that's obviously the volume control. It's got a rubberized back. It even comes with a little, looks like a giant lifesaver, inflatable lifesaver, so you can use it in a pool party. It just floats around. But my earlier one, I still have it. Bluetooth must be one of the earlier generations. It's pretty good, not perfect, but I really like the sound and the form factor. And it's one of those speakers that sounds a lot better when it's sitting on something or leaning against something than if it's just hanging out in the air. I've got it. Amazon's got it for about $96. Earlier ones were about 65. It's a heavy, dense little thing. And I was reading about the engineering of the earlier version, and they actually had to install weights inside it because they wanted it to sit perfectly flat. It's like a discus, so it's kind of curved on both sides. So if you sit it down on a table, originally the distribution of speakers and batteries and magnets and everything would tilt it slightly. So they actually added weight to the speaker so it would balance. But anyway, I really like mine, and then to see that they've taken it even further, I think is great. That's mine.
Awesome.
I'll be happy to jump in on the next one. Following up with the speakers, there's I bought a portable shower Bluetooth rugged speaker. It works great. I think I have it here, and it looks like that. It's not flat or anything, but it works wonderfully well. It's nice to carry around for presentations. It's probably not as light as the one that Martin just shared, but
it's pretty.
It doesn't
heavy.
cost $99, so
it's $30. Yeah. So
yeah. So and I also wanted to share a few other things. My wife tends to lose stuff, and I'm sure everybody's heard about Tile. It's that little gadget that you just. So I was doing a little bit of research, and apparently Chipolo Plus is a competitor to them, and so I'm giving them a try, and we'll be acquiring one of those. And then
for people who don't know about the Tile, Miguel, can you give us a quick those are the RFID things that you use an app to try to locate stuff if you stick it on? Is that right?
Yeah, you can track it. I wish I had the info off the top of my head, but you know what? Let me just click and read it.
You had a computer in front of you.
Yeah, I know.
Shoot,
I got. You should
we're
see
sitting
my
here in front
spread
of the
here.
campfire. Yeah, how many screens are represented at this moment with these four panels?
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so Chipolo second generation Bluetooth key phone, car, luggage, wallet item. Anyways, you get this little plastic chip. You can hook it up to your key ring, tuck it into your wallet, your purse, obviously, or a man bag or purse or whatever, and then you can track it on your app. It also has like a little network, so that way if you've left it somewhere and somebody else is walking around with the app, they can detect it and let you know where it's at. So
can you put one on your spouse?
Yes, you can. I was thinking about putting one on the dog or a hamster. I think is, there's a million different uses for it, and I think it's definitely worth checking out. So, but I decided to try this one out instead of the Tile, although Tile seems to have a lot more name recognition because I think it was one of the first, so if not the first one, but Chipolo seems to have gotten some really good reviews. So definitely check that out. They're about $30, $29.99 per unit, and to get you can get two of them for about $64 on Amazon, as I know now.
One for 29 or two for 64.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
I have to check my math here, but I'm not good at math, Martin. So, but two other items I'd love to share with you. I don't know if anybody noticed, but the Kindle Fire. Anybody here a Kindle user?
Cool.
Yeah, well, it's the Kindle Fire.
Do you have your Amazon phone with that, Miguel?
I wish I had an Amazon phone, to be honest with you, but Amazon hasn't offered me one at no cost, and I can do more with my iPhone. But works great. I love it. I can watch movies on it. I can save movies to it.
Really?
Yeah, and it's only $39.99 right now for holiday pricing.
And it's a full-blown Android, right? It's running a modified Android OS.
It's running a modified Android OS, but you know what? I don't worry about doing something incredibly creative with it. You can do stuff with the Kindle Fires for educational purposes, but as a what is it? Consumer device.
It's a consumptive device. That's right.
Yeah. It's save the rest for your iPad or your iPhone or your Android device.
I could add something to that, actually. This is that Kindle Fire. I bought it. I think it's 7 or 8 months old, and I bought it because I'm always consumed with the, what does the bottom line tech do from a standpoint of if a kid brings it into your classroom, what can it do? And not only have I been very impressed with it, I mean, it's not light. The battery's just okay. But I actually was able to, in about 10 minutes, hack the Google Play Store onto it and get rid of the loader on it. So now it's functionally a straight-up Android tablet now. So
Cool.
I liked it before. I like it even better now. And when it's just a, an around-the-house tablet, which makes me sound, patently ridiculous, right? It's perfect, right? And it like if it drops or if the cat scratches it or anything, who cares?
$40. Good grief.
Yep.
Wow. All right. And what about the
It's
blue
great.
Mikey? What about the blue Mikey? You got one more.
So I was looking for a microphone for my iPhone so that I could do podcasting, obviously, and recording people when they weren't listening. And although I haven't had a chance to play with the Blue Mikey because my YouTuber in the house has taken it over, but he's giving it good reports. So it's definitely a great microphone for your iDevice and that has a Lightning port.
And you should
If
plug
anyone
your
knows
show,
of a
by the
less,
way.
what's that?
Oh, go ahead. If anyone knows of a less
was gonna say-
expensive one,
Yeah, if anybody knows of a less expensive one, that would be awesome.
I think
So-
the iRig is about the same. I'm using the iRig HD, which is it'll work with Lightning or with USB, but I think it's probably around that same price point. So
I
You
will
need-
definitely plug the show. All you have to do is look for it. I'll paste the link in the.
is it a cooking show that
chat.
James does?
I'm not quite sure what it is that he does, but it does. He sort of talks about cooking and he pretends to cook, but he doesn't actually cook. Does that make sense?
Really?
It's just him talking. It's actually, Wes,
I need to
it's
check
a
out
lot
his
like
show
your
for real.
early episodes.
That's right. It's just like my podcast all the time. It's just rambling. No,
Yeah.
that's great. That's great. And James is now is he a senior?
Oh, he's 17 and senior in high school.
That's what
So
I thought. Awesome. All right. Let's see. Jason, you want to do your 20 to 100?
Yeah, I'm still a fan of the e-ink Kindle. I think it's hard to beat when you're reading, especially since I do believe that putting a backlit screen into your eyes at night, which is when most people are engaging in long-form reading, is a terrible idea. I've used both the Kindle Voyager, which is the super high-end Kindle, and the Kindle Paperwhite, and the Kindle Paperwhite is the best available for the price. And so if you're not on the Kindle board yet, if you know someone that's not, honestly, for a lot of long form reading, not all, but a lot of long form reading, it really, in my humble opinion, is the superior way to read. And right now, the $120 Paperwhite is $99, which made it qualify for this category tonight. And I've also put a link in the show notes for Amazon's refurbished store. And honestly, I would probably buy refurbished just about anything from Amazon, because the best part about it is that if there's something wrong with it, they'll absolutely replace it. Usually shipping it, cross shipping it in the mail, so you're not sitting around waiting for a device. So definitely go that route, especially when you're shopping for yourself.
Good deal. And Ben Wilkoff, who's in our chat room, Miguel says his favorite iOS microphone is the IQ7 from Zoom. And somebody will have to Google that real quick and pull up a price. I don't know what the price is on that. I've been a fan of iRigs for a while, and this HD is it's been pretty good. It's been the main podcasting mic for a while. I haven't taken it on the road. Tony Vincent is the one that has the awesome covers for it, to have the screen, and then he has some kind of little box that makes him look like he's working for CNN, but it's got his own logo on it. So someday I'll be that cool.
it looks like it's. I'm looking at it now. It's $99.99, so that puts it in the same ballpark as the Blue Mikey.
Mm-hmm.
What bothers me is that I have a OtterBox on my phone, so I don't want to take off the case so that I can use this. I wish there was an extender cable. I'm sure there is.
There is.
Yeah. So, what do you call that? Lightning extender cable? Or?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I had the same problem. I won't carry around an iOS device without an OtterBox on it. So
Yeah.
I don't care about my Android phones, but for
Kindle Fire, who needs a case?
Yeah, but for just about anything else, or the high end stuff, yeah, the OtterBox is critical, and so you have to get the little extender. So
All right. Well, My 20-100 is actually a shout out to Tony Vincent. This, of course, everything's geeky here. This is the Brother QL700 high-speed professional label printer. And, if you don't follow Tony Vincent and you're into EdTech, you are missing out, because he is really the commiserate professional when it comes to websites and just polish and presentation. And so at the Mobile Learning Conference a couple years ago, I first saw him pass out these little stickers. And so I was like, how do you do that? And he's got a little shortened link. It's like tonyv.me/sticker or /print/printer, I think. We'll go to his. They've actually discontinued the one that he uses. But this uses thermal printing, so you never have to replace the ink. You just get more paper for it. Thermal paper. I put into the show notes a little screenshot I presented a couple weeks ago down in Norman at a conference, and it's kind of cool. So you just hand out stickers to people in your session, and you can put a little QR code and put a shortened link, and people can stick it on their program, or put it in a planner or whatever. But it's kind of cool, and it's a way of both sharing the shortened link, which is going to work for obviously everybody, and then also the QR code, which I don't know what the percentage is of K-12 teachers or higher ed folks, for that matter, who are QR code users, but I think it's still very useful to mention to people how wonderful the QR code is for getting to a web link very quickly. And so for a mere investment of $65, you can have your own little printer, and then before you're sharing your EdTech sessions or whatever kind of a presentation you're doing, I have given some presentations at our Sunday school class at church, and people really look at me like I am a freak when I hand these things out with QR codes, and they're like, what, planet are you from? But anyway, there probably are some people that are able to visit the link as a result of that. And the other thing I want to do is give a shout out to Martin, because Martin introduced me probably like 5 or 6 years ago to one of the most transformative gifts that would fit in the same category, and it is a USB stick that has its own Wi-Fi hotspot, and we have like a 64 gig model. And so when you're in the car on a trip, as long as the members of your family have downloaded the app, you can have like 4 people simultaneously streaming movies, from that little stick. So I'm trying to think, Martin, do you remember what the brand of that is or whatever? I've got the app.
But that's old school when I get to my next gift.
SanDisk. It's the SanDisk wireless flash. And we got to give a shout out to Marta Tome, who is checking in from Tegucigalpa, which is in Honduras, I think. I think that's the capital, where it was like 68 today. And she said that was very cool for them. So when we say this is the International EdTech Situation Room, we are not kidding. We are so excited that you're here tuning in live, Marta. All right. Martin, do you want to take us to our last category? This is the no holes barred. Just has to be over $100.
Yeah, this one's over $100. In this category, I chose the 2017 Mercedes Maybach S600 sedan. If that's okay.
What would that set us back?
Well, entry price starts at about $191,000. But you got to get some of the extra features, such as the in-car Wi-Fi hotspot, so you don't need your SanDisk anymore.
Okay.
It's got basically like a glass cockpit, but that's not terribly unusual because other cars have those now, like Tesla, etc. It has some really cool aspects to that, like a split screen. And this is something I think you're going to see drift into the regular tech world. And basically, it's a large LCD display, but it can display 2 different things at the same time. So the passenger could be watching a movie on this screen while the driver is using it as a GPS.
Because of
So
the
if you were
angle
over on the
that
left-
you've got or whatever?
What?
How does it work? Is it the angle that they're looking at it, or what?
Well, the angle changes what you see. How is it done? I'm not sure. I'd like to find out more, but you could literally get, and I've seen videos of it, and you're over here and it's a crystal clear GPS screen. You're over here and it's an entertainment system, and you can move back and forth. It has a sunroof. If you can believe it, there's actually glass on the roof. You can look up and see right out of it. except you can adjust the tint of the glass. So you can turn on or off the amount of transmission of light, and actually you can have each side adjust the amount of light. It's like the technology you see in the CIA rooms where they walk in the glass cube and then it turns dark. You can actually change how much light gets through the glass with an electronic active tinting. It has cameras around it and gives you a bird's eye view of what's going on around your car. So instead of just your backup camera, it's the entire car, and it stitches it together into a 360-degree view around your car.
Have you seen this one in person? I mean, this.
I have not. I don't know if there is ever going to be one in Montana.
I just looked, and there's not even one with close to our zip code. So
yeah, it's pretty wild, and some of the technology, I think it's got. I think the coolest thing is you can get an actual analog clock in the dashboard.
Wow.
That's an added feature. I can check how much extra that.
See, you've just set the bar so high, we could just end the show. You all are not going to hear anything that cool, probably. Certainly not from me, but who knows? Maybe we will. But that
I didn't even get into the driving part. I'll let you look that up. But it's got all sorts of assisted features that make it bridges the gap between a driverless car and a driver car. It even senses if you're getting tired in your reactions and warns you. So like if you get sluggish, it picks that up and asks, "Are you too tired to drive?"
My parents just got Pathfinder. Is it a Pathfinder? No, it's not a Pathfinder. Subaru. Forester, exactly. And it really helps out as far as like getting too close, and if it needs to slow down, and if they're moving over the road, and it'll move back. I mean, that's wild. Does the Mercedes, is it electric, and what's the mileage?
No, it's got I think it's like a 12-cylinder 6-liter bi-turbo engine.
Okay.
Probably gets about a mile a gallon or so.
Right.
But of course you can watch all that, and it graphs your economy on the heads-up display, so you can see, what you're doing over time, kind of like getting your power bill, and it shows you your driving over the last year. It's a pretty wild looking thing, but I like it because this and Tesla and the Apple car and Google's new self-driving car, all of those are proof of concept or test beds for different kinds of technology. And I see this, especially with the way they've incorporated the screens, to be probably something that's going to drift in. And also on the screen, or it has its own app, of course. And if you look at the link I put in, but you blow it up on the app, or blow up your screen on the app and read under the thumb, it says something like, before you do the remote start, it says make sure it's in an open air location and away from flammable materials and not currently being serviced or repaired. So you could be, sitting drinking coffee while your Mercedes oil is getting changed, and hit the app button, and it starts up and drives off the rig.
That is wild. Well, Miguel, do you want to take us above the $100 threshold?
I regret that I don't have over $100. I'm not allowed to spend that much, so it's just the way it is.
You did put in a few extra links, though, from Work Gadgets.
Yes, I did. If you check out let me see if I can pull those up. I included 2 links to TCEA, which is my employer. It seems every year they do these. So I put in 2015 and 2016 links. So you'll find 2 great articles. And
were those pinned by you?
No, they weren't. So, which is probably a nice break, right?
No, it's all good. I need to be reading your blog more often. So
yeah, I think they've got a few. The one for this year mentioned something called an eStream. This is Dr. Bruce Ellis's eStream for $180. That seemed pretty interesting. It's a water power extra battery for your for your mobile device, and it can fit into your backpack. So I guess those of you that are over in Montana and Oklahoma, where you might get snowed in, that might be handy somehow.
You said
Or
water
just
power?
freeze. Yeah, it's water power, new clean source for recharging devices. So
How does it work?
hang on a second, let me check.
Yeah, that's right. Quick. Allow me to consult the Google.
It's located at energynomad.com, and it looks cool. Y'all need to check it out. Energynomad.com.
Far astream, far afield into all kinds of exciting places.
Stream is perfect.
The EdTech Situation Room does not normally go.
Yeah, portable water power generator that fits into your backpack. So, I mean, that's pretty awesome. Of course, it's South Korea. It looks like it's got propeller blades on it, and you drop it in the water, and it generates power from that.
So it's a turbine.
Yeah.
I'll add this to my lights out cyber attack prep kit that I'm gonna be putting together along with vast troves of whole grain wheat that I can grind to make our bread, and then I'll have a power source. Of course, we don't have a stream nearby, so cool.
Well, you never know.
You never know.
Post-apocalypse. Yeah, it might be there.
Be prepared. All right, Jason, what you got for us over $100?
Sorry, I was being distracted by the video on their Indiegogo project. So I would say that keeping just over $100. If you know someone who's a techie that doesn't already have a voice activated home device, now is the time to get one. A couple weeks ago, I did preview my Google Home, which is something that is really great. I knew that I had made maybe the right purchase when the other day I noticed my wife had used it to turn on NPR radio. But at $125, and then I'm also sharing a link for the Amazon Echo, which is the original product in this sphere, which is $139 right now and cheaper in the refurbished store. I think that these devices are going to start becoming a lot more commonplace in homes. And for geeks that don't already have one, they would be a really, really great gift. But yeah,
if you would also like to enable the security state to monitor you at all times, this is the microphone for you. Jason, do you have an opinion? Miguel put this in. Echo or Home? Which do you think is better? Have you tested the Echo much?
I have not tested the Echo much. I have seen a lot of demonstrations of it. The Echo right now has a much larger app ecosystem because they've been around longer. So they have hundreds of apps that they have hooks into. So right now it's way more functional, but I have a theory that at some point the Google Home will well exceed the Echo when it comes to hooks to other apps and the extensibility that will come with that process. So I would assume that at some point it's going to become a much more functional product.
Well, this is maybe a question for Kevin Kelly, who Martin talked about as far as technology wanting, but it's with AI and these devices in our homes, and then also comparing them. I mean, it'll be interesting to try to find out who's gauging the progress of AI. Apple compared to Google, compared to Amazon. Microsoft doesn't have an entry yet, do they? Do they have a speak to it device yet? In the home?
Go ahead, Nicola.
I was just going to say, yes, they do. I don't remember what it's called, but they do have...
Or is that Amazon's?
That's
Cortana.
Cortana, yeah.
Miguel has drank the Microsoft Kool-Aid more than any of our other panelists and can tell us how delicious it is. Have you been to Redmond yourself, Miguel, at like the mecca of Gates and Ballmer, as it were?
Yes, and it was wonderful. It was great to visit. You get to connect to all the Microsoft folks, and they are just so enthusiastic, and the whole community is a global community. So, it has a different feel from other large communities that are associated with one of the big three, Apple, Google, or Microsoft. So it's pretty nice to connect with them, and because they almost feel, it's kind of weird to say this, but they feel almost like they're in the underdog role.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's important to stand with the underdogs. And so that's why I've jumped in. And, you know, what really turned me off about Apple was, here we go, rant beginning, was the USB-C. So said, I'm not going to stick with the MacBook. I'm going to go
Ben
with something
Wilkoff
else.
in our chat room has said that is just, he is in love with USB-C. So Ben is the first person I've heard make that pronouncement publicly. So
He must be independently wealthy. You know, what really turned me off is when I had to buy a $45 adapter so that I could plug in stuff to a little MacBook.
Got
Put that
several
thing in
of
the
those.
drawer and haven't opened it again. And the Surface Book is tremendous, but you know, going back to the yeah, you interrupted my Google search here, but there is a Microsoft says they're going to have something out in 2017 that's going to compete with the Amazon Echo.
Okay. Yeah, I
And
would expect them to have something in the marketplace. It's kind of like, do you have a laptop? You know, do you have something in the home that's going to feed your AI engine with speech, and you know, people are going to interact with? So they're going to.
They just came out and they said that they had better speech recognition. That Cortana had better speech recognition than some of the other products that are out there. So I think Microsoft is being pretty innovative recently, and definitely worth keeping an eye on and seeing how the changes work out. You know, in the past they weren't. You didn't get that. Ooh, wow, that's, you know. But now there's something different about their products. So I think they're definitely moving ahead.
Well, I've got to do my over $100 pick, and then I'm going to throw one more unexpected question to everybody, which is going to be, you know, approaching the holidays. I'm sure that probably everyone has more media consumption options than ever before. So if you were going to make a movie recommendation or a movie marathon recommendation, which could be a series or whatever, you know, that's going to be one of our parting questions. But we have a question from the chat room, and we respond to our interactive audience. Peggy asks, and I really can't answer this, what's the difference between Amazon Fire Stick and Apple TV? I haven't even played with the Fire Stick at all. Has anybody?
I can go.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, Jason, go ahead. And we'll
Go ahead.
The Apple TV. I mean, they're basically the same kind of platform. Amazon utilizes the Amazon App Store, which are Android apps that have been repurposed through the Amazon Store, whereas the second, third generation Apple TV has a limited set of apps. The fourth generation Apple TV has a larger app ecosystem. If they were equal in price, which they're not, I think the Apple TV is a better platform. The problem with the Amazon Stick, not necessarily the Amazon Fire TV, but the Amazon Stick, is that it is very underpowered. So I've played with it and got bored with it 2 or 3 weeks into it because it became really slow upon installing a handful of apps.
Miguel, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I started out with an Apple TV. I thought it was gonna do great things, change my life, and unfortunately, it's now sitting completely unused. And given the price, that's a real shame. I tried different. I don't think I played around with the Amazon stick, but I did go with the Roku, and it works wonderfully well.
Yep.
I wouldn't even waste my time with anything else. Just go straight to Roku and buy the next level of service on Roku if you want to do that. Or just start out with the basic one. You'll be awed. It's easy. It's drop dead simple.
All right. Well, we are nearing the top of the hour. My over $100 pick is the 12-inch 1.2 gigahertz MacBook laptop, which I am utilizing tonight, as I have for most of our shows. I did have to actually return mine to Apple, and they put a different logic board in it. When I went to ISTE, when I was plugging into projectors, it would go in and out on video. It was not a good thing for trying to present. So that was some kind of a hardware issue. But once they swapped that out, I've had no problems. Video conferencing, just everything that I want to do. It's got a 500 gig drive, which is excellent. Because for a while there, I was using a MacBook Pro it was like 128, or anyway, it's kind of hard to hard drive space getting bigger, and then get smaller. Miguel's point, is accurate. You've got to get all these adapters, and even to plug my little USB microphone in, I've got to have my it's like an HDMI, massive adapter here that has I can plug into power, I can plug into USB, whatever 2.0, 3.0. I'm not plugged into HDMI. So for school purposes, what I just recommended to our admin team today, among some other options, was that if someone wants to stay Mac or go Mac, Apple is still selling their earlier MacBook Pro before they introduced the Touch Bar and these new ones for like $1,250. That has the built-in HDMI. It still has USB 2.0, 3.0. It's a little bit of a bridge too far, I think, for the large teacher population out there to not be able to just put a USB flash drive in your device. But on a personal level, I've loved this MacBook. It is so thin. It is so light. People think I have an iPad when I've got a laptop. So yes, if you're looking for the over $100 purchase and you're not able to go for the dream Mercedes of Martin, perhaps a new MacBook laptop would be in your future. So let's wrap up with, let's see, Ben's asking, can we do a whole EdTech Situation Room on how we're moving beyond the wires? Sure. Hey, Ben, let's find a Wednesday when you can tune in, and we'll do it. That sounds great. We can make up the rules here on the EdTech Situation Room. And Marta's 7-year-old is listening as well. So that may be the youngest listener we've had yet on the EdTech Situation Room. Martin, do you have a movie recommendation for us to kind of close out the show? This can be a Netflix. This can be an oldie but a goodie. This can be anything. Just tell us something that we should watch to further edify or entertain us, however you want to go with that.
Well, I'm kind of excited I'm a Jason Bourne fan. And obviously there's a new movie out. I see it in the supermarket checkout lines. So one of these days. But there are now, I guess, 5. There were the first 3, and then there was kind of a little tangent, and now Bourne as the original character is back. So I think when I might get a copy of that and then watch all 5 of them in order.
So it's interesting. Martin has recommended books and movies that he has not yet seen, but he is prescient and able to discern as many.
Actually, another one would be whenever it comes out, or maybe it's out, is the new Dan Brown one, Inferno. That one's on my list. I've read the book twice, so I have read that one.
Well, anything with Matt Damon and Tom Hanks is actually usually pretty awesome. So I concur. All right, Miguel, got a movie recommendation for us?
Well, I'm just looking at my Netflix, and I'd have to recommend, if you haven't seen it yet, check out Stranger Things. It's very engaging, and Longmire. I realize I'm dating myself here, but Longmire is a great Western show, and
he's the sheriff in Wyoming, right?
Yeah. Absaroka County, I think it's, and just phenomenal, very engaging. My wife and I are addicted to that show. Although it's heading into its last season, it's definitely worth watching from the beginning.
All right, sounds good. Jason, what do you got as a movie rec?
I would also recommend a couple series on Netflix. First and foremost, The Crown, which is a Netflix original about Queen Elizabeth II and her early days first as the heir apparent, and then as the Queen herself. It's excellent. I'm halfway through the season. John Lithgow plays Winston Churchill, which he received a Golden Globe nomination for, which is very well deserved. Excellent series, really great, especially if you are a history buff. And then I've also been engaged in probably my 5th time through the entire West Wing series. I'm now just living there as kind of political reality escapism. And so if you've not seen the series before, it is really quite awesome. And especially if you're in any way interested in politics or Washington, D.C. stuff. So both are now streaming on Netflix.
Awesome. Well, I will take us back to a little security and tech focus. I'm like 10 minutes away from finishing Citizen 4. We went and saw the Snowden movie a month or so ago as a family, which is a work of of creative license by who's our JFK, Oliver Stone.
Yep.
But Citizen 4 is an actual documentary by the journalists who originally connected with Snowden in Hong Kong. It's just pretty eye-opening. And I think that is a relevant question for people to be grappling with today, as far as what do you think of the Snowden revelations and the surveillance state. I think ISTE will be finding out here probably in a week or so, or maybe this week, about proposals. Jason and I did put in a session called Digital Citizenship in the Surveillance State. It remains to kind of be seen how that will play out if it's accepted, because I might have to video conference in from Jackson Hole, Wyoming. But anyway, it's a good documentary, and not to steep yourself in just depressing things, but actually I think it's pretty. I guess I'll say this publicly, not that anybody's going to quote this, but I definitely think Snowden performed a important service for our republic in the things that he disclosed, and I think that it's important for us to grapple with this because from a technology level, what governments are doing and can do and probably will do, back to Kelly and inevitable, it's pretty important for us to be attuned to this and to be thinking about rights and exercising freedoms and what we're going to express as far as citizens. So let's take us out by just telling everybody kind of where to find you online, and then kind of what you do really quickly for your day job. And since we're sort of going in this order, Martin, we'll let you go first, and then we'll just take us out this way with our little connect with us blurbs. Where can folks find you?
I'm a professor of instructional technology and science education at the College of Education in the University of Montana. I also blog, especially in the realm of science gadgets for the National Science Teachers Association. And I am a board member of NCCE.
Wow.
So be presenting at that conference as well. Jason's quite deep into that organization. And then I also have been blogging about space science since about the year 2000, before it was even blogging. And I write a column every other month now called The Accretion Desk. And that, if you want to read about space science and adventures, that's where I blog about those. That's what
Awesome.
I remember at the moment.
That's good. And it's almost, it's getting kind of late, so that's good. Miguel, how about you?
Yeah, you can find my abandoned blog at mgulen.org. And I've been spending a lot of time over at the tca.org/blog writing about Microsoft-related topics. But it's been a lot of fun learning and sharing. What was that? What was that, Wes? we'll talk later. But yeah, you need to. It's been just a lot of fun building a new community and getting connected with other folks. I guess that's it.
M. Gulen on the Twitters. You're tweeting as something else too, though? Are you tweeting for TCA as well?
Well, yeah, everything I've got going through mgulen, that's mostly me. Where it's amazing how much that's grown in just a few months. I think I went from 8,000 to 10,000 pretty quick.
To your TCA M. Gulen? Or?
No, that's mgulen, just period.
Really?
And then I'd set up, I was supposed to be learning about Arduino and Raspberry Pi, so I wanted a quick way to capture those so that I could just go to an account. And I started my TCA-MG account, auto-tweeting Arduino stuff. And it's taken on a life of its own. I only check it maybe once a week, but it's picking up its own followers, and everybody else is just jumping into that.
See, you may have heard it first here on the EdTech Situation Room, but everyone will be interacting more with bots, and Miguel Gulen has provided your next opportunity to meaningfully engage with a bot. So there you go.
Thank you, if this, then that. Yes.
Peggy George has asked if we could please put these links into our Google document. And yes, Peggy, we will do that. We'll encourage everybody, if you did not already, to actually put your movie, video, link, whatever in there, and your contact information. Jason, where can folks find you on the interwebs?
My day job is that I am the assistant director and curriculum director of the Montana Digital Academy, the fabulous state virtual school located in Missoula, Montana, on the University of Montana campus. And then by night, I am the tech-savvy administrator in residence for the Northwest Council for Computer Education, where we put on a great conference. This year, it will be in March in fabulous Portland, Oregon. And I also blog and do social media for NCC, blog.ncc.org, and on Twitter at NCCE _EdTech. And then I am personally Tech Savvy Teach on the Twitters.
I am Wes Fryer, the Director of Technology at Cassidy School here in Oklahoma City, W. Fryer on Twitter, and you can find a few other links in my Twitter profile, blogging at speedofcreativity.org. So we want to thank all of our guests who have tuned in. We've stayed a little bit later than usual, but this show, as all of our shows are, it will be archived on edtechsr.com, available on our YouTube channel, but also converted to a downloadable, friendly 32 kilobit audio podcast so that you can download this and listen to it. And we invite you to please fill out our listener survey. We have had one individual worldwide who lives in Tasmania fill out our form as of last time. We know there's more folks that are listening, looking at our metrics, but we would love to just find out where you are and anything that you have found useful. And Ben Wilkoff has given us a great topic for the next year. We're going to do something about ditching the wires, and we will have to figure out if we can rope Ben into coming on here live. So follow us on Twitter, EdTechSR. We are hoping to have, and we'll most likely have, an end-of-year show that will either be the last week of December or the first week of January, but Jason will be joining from somewhere on assignment on the European continent, and his connectivity will be, we don't know. It'll probably be awesome, but we'll just have to figure that out, and we will post that on Twitter. So from Oklahoma to Montana to San Antonio, Texas, we bid you a good night and a happy holidays.